Okay, this morning we're going to be in Ruth chapter 2. We started a series 2 weeks ago going through Ruth called Seasons of Faith. We all go through in our faiths, if we have a faith, whether it's in God or something else, we go through seasons and they're cyclical. And so last week we talked about that winter time of our faith when things are bad. When we seem to, we obviously enjoy pleasantness, but sometimes that pleasantness gives way to bitterness. And so what do we do when we're in the midst of that bitterness? And so this week, we're talking about how this bitterness that Naomi and Ruth are experiencing in their lives shifts. It changes, and we see the growth of life. We see some spring happening. And so the title is Kinsman Redeemer because of the individual that we meet in chapter 2. We meet a guy named Boaz. And if you want to turn to chapter 2, what we see here first in verse 1 and then in verse 23, we see a little bit of a setup for what is going to transpire and what happened in this chapter. And so it's like a bookend. In verse 2, it says, "Now Naomi had a kinsman of her husband, a man of great wealth of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz." So we learn right there who Boaz is, that he is a kinsman. That means he's a relative of Boaz. And then if you skip down to verse 23, you see the narrator again share kind of what happened in the following in the previous verses. "So she, Ruth, stayed close by the maids of Boaz in order to glean until the end of the barley harvest and the wheat harvest, and she lived with her mother-in-law." So it's just kind of wrapping up what happened, what was going down there. But where it gets really good, and what the narrator does masterfully here, is he paints a picture that in a culture where, we come here and we have someone stand up and he delivers a message and you try your best not to fall asleep. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. This is what we have. And then we go home and we either sit down and we watch a football game or we watch a movie or we go to the movies. And man, we can stay up for a 4-hour-long movie. Well, maybe not 4 hours. That's a little ridiculous. But we get involved in that sort of stuff. But they didn't have Netflix back then. And so what the people of Israel would do is they would rehearse the history of their faith. And they would have people, orators, speakers, who would go around and they would memorize these stories and they would tell them to the people, and the people would wait with bated breath. And imagine if you've ever seen a movie that you love. What is your favorite movie? Just call out your favorite movie. Ben-Hur. Okay. How many times have you seen Ben-Hur? Okay, 5 times. 5 times or more. Okay, so you've seen this movie. So picture your favorite movie and you're sitting down like with one of your kids or something and they've never seen the movie. And so you pop it in and, it either starts right away if you have DVD or you have a VCR. And you have to rewind. And so you're like, well, let's go to the bathroom and get some popcorn. So you get the movie all queued up and ready. And so you sit down and you're ready to watch this movie with your kids. And you're watching and they're watching. Except you're also watching them because you want to see their reaction. Oh, here comes a good part. I know this part. I know, right? That's so great. This is what we would be experiencing if we were Israelites growing up in the day. There would be this telling of Ruth. I would have loved to have taken a week and just read through the entire book. But I imagine that some of you would have been like, we're paying this guy for this? I could have done this at my house. But to give you the picture of the performance, the intrigue that is shared when these are shared orally. This is the picture. And so people reading this text for the first time or hearing this text for the first time are being told a story of the faithfulness of God. Something that happened in the lives of one of their kinsmen, someone from their family. And so they know that these things happened. So we see the intro, verse 1. This is what kind of happens. This is Boaz. Okay, sounds good. But then they start telling a story. And as that story unfurls, the audience gets it. Oh man, kinsman named Boaz. Okay, sounds good. But then the story starts being told. So listen, just follow along with me. If we go to 2:2 of Ruth, and Ruth, the Moabitess. Oh, what is he telling there? Ruth, the Moabitess. She's from Moab. She's from the land of those people that we don't know and we don't talk about. They are not of us, most assuredly. This is the woman. She said to Naomi, her mother-in-law, "Please let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after one in whose sight I may find favor." She doesn't know where she's going, but she's going to go. She's going to work. And she said to her, "Go, my daughter." So she, Ruth, departed and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the... Now, before I go on there, and she happened to. This is what we would call a Hebrew idiom. It's a turn of phrase. That would be very similar to us say, "And luck would have it," or "chance upon chance. Guess what happened?" And so the narrator is setting up a story. By the Spirit of God, we are being told, and look at this lucky little happenstance that happens to happen. You're following this? And she happened to come to the portion of the field belonging to Boaz. What? Boaz the kinsman? Oh, is this going to happen? You can feel the excitement building. Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. I know, you just told me. This is getting good. What is going on? Now, behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem. Now, remember that in chapter 1, it says that Naomi and Ruth, they left Moab and they came to Bethlehem. And now here we see that Boaz was coming from Bethlehem. So picture it somewhat like this. Maybe he lived or he had some work to do in Bethlehem, and then he went to one of the outlying areas outside the city of Bethlehem. Let's say he worked in Des Moines. He was there in Des Moines on some business, and then he left that sprawling dirtiness of Des Moines, and he came to the promised land in Pleasant Hill, where his sprawling fields bore wonderful crops. It was a beautiful place. This is the picture that is being painted here. He came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, "May the Lord be with you." What? We're seeing a picture of the character of Boaz. And they said to him, "May the Lord bless you." Whoa. Like begets like. We see a godly man who cares about his workers. Elsewhere, these words, reapers, it would be called servants or slaves. Simply people who are not well off working for someone who is well off. But where do you think Boaz attributes his wealth to? Is it to himself? Is he running a slave driver kind of thing? Or is he a servant of servants? Is he blessing them with his much so that they in turn can bless others? And they bless him for it. This is what we see in this passage. So in those first couple of verses, we see that Boaz is a near relative. Not just that, he is a kinsman redeemer. Gaol. This is the word that is used. He is a kinsman redeemer. He is one who delivers and rescues. Now, if we see in verse 3 that Ruth came into Boaz's field, and then if you skip down to verse 20, okay, we skip over everything that's happened there. We're going to go back, don't worry. But if you skip down to verse 20, Naomi has just been told, oh, so this is the field that I went into. Guy named Boaz. Naomi hears this. Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, may he be blessed of the Lord, who has not withdrawn his kindness to the living and the dead. Why the living and the dead? Ruth, Naomi, they are living. They are his relatives. They are being cared for by Boaz's generosity. But the dead as well, she's starting to see, she's putting the pieces together. He's not just a kinsman. He's a possible kinsman redeemer. What is going on here? What is God doing in this place? So in verse 3, we've got the people listening to this account, and they're thinking, what? Kinsman? And then in verse 20, we're hearing them say again, yeah, Naomi, you caught up to where we are. Yeah, possible redeemer. Help for Naomi, help for Ruth. This is amazing. Again, Naomi said to her, the man is our relative. He is one of our closest relatives. She's starting to see the picture here of the Old Testament idea of a kinsman redeemer. A kinsman redeemer had to be in the same tribe. He had to be a good person. He had to be a good man. And we see this in Scripture. Examples of kinsman redeemers who are maybe not good. A guy named Onan, he is the brother of a guy named in Genesis 38. And so if you want to check out that passage later, we're not going to go back there and look at that. But he was the brother of and died. Basically, he was an evil man, and so God took his life. And so Onan, his job was to come alongside, marry his brother's wife, and raise up the firstborn child of that union under his brother's name. Well, he says, I'm not going to do that. He didn't do that, and so his life got taken as well. And then we see in Numbers 27, Numbers 36, that the reason why the kinsman redeemer had to be in the same tribe is so that the inheritance, the family land, the plot of land, but also the name of that family would live on in the event that something catastrophic or unfortunate had happened. So this is very important for the people. Leviticus 25, we see again the picture of redeeming that which has passed away from the family, bringing that back to the family so that the family's inheritance of the land, of the name, would not pass away. And so we see Boaz here described in this chapter as, wow, this is a possible kinsman redeemer. One who redeems. Same tribe, a good man, and godly. We see that in his greetings, right? In the greetings that he gives to his reapers. What does he say? May the Lord be with you, even as he is blessing them with what he has. And they bless him back. May the Lord bless you. Well, Boaz knows where blessing comes from, and he shares that with his reapers. And so then we have Boaz asking about Ruth. We're going to skip over that part, and we're going to go straight to Boaz talking to Ruth. And what we will see is a man that says, wow, I've heard of you. I've heard of the kindness that you showed to Naomi. I've heard of the courage that you showed in leaving your land, your people, your family to come to this place. And what is conveyed in what Ruth did for Naomi, but also what Boaz is doing for Ruth and for her family. A biblical term called hesed. It's often translated in Scripture, loving kindness. It's a loyal love. It's mercy. It's grace. It's kindness. All of these terms and more wrapped up into one. And so let's read this passage, chapter 2, starting in verse 8, and we'll go through verse 13. I'll be reading out of the New American Standard. If you would like to, you can follow on the screen behind me if you have another translation, or you can follow in yours. Then Boaz said to Ruth, "Listen carefully, my daughter. Do not go to glean in another field. Furthermore, do not go on from this one, but stay here with my maids. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and go after them. Indeed, I have commanded the servants not to touch you. When you are thirsty, go to the water jars and drink from what the servants draw." Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your sight that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" Boaz replied to her, "All that you have done for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband has been fully reported to me, and how you left your father and your mother in the land of your birth and came to a people that you did not previously know. May the Lord reward your work, and your wages be full from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to seek refuge." Notice he doesn't take credit for what God is doing. He, in fact, exalts God's part in this. Verse 13, "Then she said, 'I have found favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me, and indeed have spoken kindly to your maidservant, though I am not like one of your maidservants.'" She sees herself. She sees herself rightly, but she also sees herself through the lens of the flesh, as many Israelites would have also seen her. She's Ruth, the Moabitess. And we see that veil of the flesh falling over the eyes and telling them and telling Ruth who she is in the sight of the people. But God is telling a much different story in this passage and in this book. It's a very short book. If you've never read it before, I encourage you to go back and read through the entire book and see the faithfulness of God in the book of Ruth. But there's three things that I want to draw out of this text. There are many things you could get, but we're just drawing out three things this morning. The first thing is in verse 8, we see that Boaz, in his hesed, loving kindness toward Ruth, he says, "Stay in the field of provision that I'm providing for you. Stay in my field." He's telling Ruth, "Take of my resources." And then he blesses her abundantly. Not only does he take this traveler, this foreigner, sojourner in the land, and tell her, "You follow behind my reapers," but he also tells his reapers there in verse 16, "Also, what I want you to do is as you're harvesting my grain, I want you to pull out stalks of my grain, throw them on the ground for her to get behind you, so that she can take of my resources abundantly." Boaz is an abundantly generous person. I mean, when I think of Harvest Sunday, we don't have this in Houston, Texas, and we didn't really have it in California either. So it's unique here, but Harvest Sunday is next week, where we not only take an additional Harvest Sunday offering, but we also have a Harvest Sunday dinner, and it's awesome. You guys bring amazing food. I bring so-so food. And we just eat and it's wonderful and we enjoy this fellowship and there's an abundance in this picture of harvest. You guys don't know how good you have it because there are other people in other parts of the world that don't get to experience the wonder of a harvest. God delivering food for the people. This is truly unique and it's wonderful that you get to see this. Well, Naomi noticed the abundance that was given to her. I tried to collect some examples and illustration. Basically, in one day of harvesting, she collected about 3/5 of an ephah. And what that comes out being is a little bit over 5.5 gallons of barley. She collected this. And so I wanted to put out 5.5 milk gallons so that you can see this is all that she collected in one day. And then she stayed with the harvesters through the end of the barley and the wheat harvests, right? That's what it says in verse 23. And so she got all of that, over 5.5 gallons of barley in one day. Naomi saw that and she thought, that's not normal. That's pretty good. Where did you go? And where did you find this favor? And of course, the hearers, the readers, reading it, hearing it for the first time, are thinking, what? What? The possibilities. God is doing this? No, this isn't chance. They're taking the cues of the narrator that's saying, yeah, this isn't just luck happening. Somebody has provided. Boaz is saying, under the authority of God, stay in the field of my provision. But then in verse 9, he also says, stay in the field of my protection. Now, going and harvesting in a place, especially if you're not connected to a family, you don't have a man looking after you, women could be abused physically, verbally, sexually. Boaz says, not on my watch. You are protected. I've told my servants, you leave her alone. He says in verse 15, don't insult her. Verse 16, don't rebuke her. She is under the banner of his protection, under the shelter of his wings. Oh, there's a biblical allusion. Does not God say that about us? That he invites us under the shelter of his wings into his protection? He commands his workers to treat her kindly and extravagantly. She's welcome in his field. She's welcome. So to come from the wrong people group and to come into a place where they are not received well, she has found a place of belonging, a place where she is told, you are welcome. Is that not our job within the church today? To tell people that wherever you are in your life, you are welcome. God is spreading his wings of comfort and protection over you. And then in the second half of verse B, he tells her, stay in the field of my preservation. I'm going to preserve your life. You came here to forage some grain, but did you think you would get this much? I'm going to preserve your life. He blesses her abundantly with the harvest, but then he also welcomes her, invites her. You take of the water that my servants are drawing for my workers. You come eat with my workers. The food that we have prepared for them, you are welcome. Not only are you welcome, but here, dip your bread in the wine vinegar. It says in verse 14, and he served her roasted grain. She ate it until she was satisfied, and she had something left over to take back to Naomi. He is blessing her abundantly. He is sustaining her and preserving her life. And why does he do it? He shares why. May the Lord reward your work, and your wages be full from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to seek refuge. He's painting a different story for Ruth that she may not have gotten when she walked into Israel. Maybe she received some cold shoulders. So, what does this possibility of a Boaz and Ruth union mean? We're speaking kind of into the third and the fourth chapters. We're going to start discussing those things next week and the week after. And it's powerful stuff. It's powerful, powerful stuff. What does it mean? Kinsman redeemer means keeping the land in the family, keeping the name alive. So it's salvation of the family name and the family land. The name is not going to be forgotten. Have you ever read the Old Testament and you get through a great section of lots of amazing stories, and then you get to so-and-so begat so-and-so, begat so-and-so, and so-and-so, the son of so-and-so. Do you think that maybe for the people of Israel, the lineage of their ancestors was important to them? It was very important. Very important. And that's being maintained here. The hearer has a promise that, something's going to turn around for Naomi. Come on. No, she's not Mara. She's not bitter. God is with her. What's going to happen? It's a fulfillment of God's promises. As they turned away from Moab, which would be in the time of Judges, that picture of turning away from the Lord and worshiping the gods of the lands around. And then they turned around and they came back to Israel, to Bethlehem. And there was a change that happened. And so we're starting to see the unfolding picture of the fulfillment of God's promises, that God is faithful. He is faithful and he can be trusted in your life. What are you facing in your life? I don't know. For some of you, I know. But whatever you're facing in this life, do not think that God is not right there with you. He is. What else could this union mean? Not only salvation of the family line, but the emergence of a king. We'll find out in chapter 4. The emergence of a king. And from that emergence of a king comes the promise of the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the wonderful Counselor, the mighty God in the flesh, whose throne will never cease, whose dominion is from of old and will never cease. That is the promise of Ruth. Do not ever believe that the Old Testament is dead and not for us. No, church. This is exciting. The story that is being told here produces the lineage of King David. And of King David's lineage comes Christ, Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us. This is a powerful, powerful reality told to us in the book of Ruth. Where are you in your season of faith? Are you in a winter? Are you in a spring, maybe summer? Maybe things are falling all around you and you don't know what to do. Don't lose hope. Don't lose faith in the God who has done everything for you so that you don't have to do anything but trust. Trust fall. Does anyone want to get up here and do a trust fall with me? No, we won't do that. But trust God. Trust God. And believe that whatever season of faith you are in, even if you're in a time of harvest and things are great, winter's coming. Winter's coming. Store up. Do the work you got to do now. How did this story happen in Ruth? Boaz and his workers, they had to plant the crop, right? They had to plant the barley. They had to plant the wheat. Otherwise, there'd be nothing to harvest. The harvesters had to be there. Ruth had to get off her tail and go work. Naomi, she had to put these things together. Look at what is happening. God is doing something here. The bait and switch of the narrator. And it's so funny to say that because I know that the Spirit of God has infused and has spoken these words to us through human authors. But the narrator has painted a picture for us of something happening. There's something happening just beyond the skin of our circumstances, just where Naomi is in the most bitter time in her life. And she doesn't want to remember the pleasantness. All she has is bitterness. And the flip script is saying, no, God is doing something. See the providence of God. See the hand of God. And so what are we to do with this morning? Okay, we've spent all this time painting the picture of what happened with Ruth. Sounds good. What do I do with it? What do I do with this in my life? You are not without hope. Do you understand me? No matter where you are in your life, no matter what you're facing, you are not without hope. And you are not outside the sight of God. What is He doing in the midst of your circumstances? You can try to figure it out on your own, but if you're anything like me, you can be dense at times. Let's just say it. You can be stupid as well as I can. We can be dumb. That is why we gather together in fellowship and we learn from each other. You are not without hope. Why? Because Christ is your kinsman redeemer. Christ is your kinsman redeemer. He died for the ungodly, not because we're good. What did Jesus say? None are good but God. No one is good but God. Scripture tells us none are good. None seek after God. We've all, like sheep, gone astray. We followed our own way. Just like Ruth, the Moabitess, there was nothing in her that would bring about the faithfulness, the hesed, loving kindness of Boaz, and yet he did. It is the same with Christ. It is the same with our loving Father. There is nothing in you that brought God to bless you. So, what are you to do with that then? Stay in the field of Christ's provision. These are the calls that I'm giving you this morning. Stay in the field of Christ's provision. Trust Him. Trust Him. He is faithful. Stay in the field of Christ's protection. He can protect you. May you go through things like Ruth went through, like Naomi went through. Yes, but God is still faithful. Who knows but that the thing that you're facing, that you're struggling with in your life, is there in the economy and sovereignty of God to help someone else. They will see your faithfulness in the midst of impossible circumstances, and they will see their need to return to the Lord. Who knows? But that God is trying to teach you something and grow you, stretch you, maybe prepare you for something that is to come in your life. You think things are hard now, they're going to get really hard. And so you need to rest in the protection of Christ and allow Him to be your strength and stay in the field of Christ's preservation. Allow Him to preserve you. Stay in that field. So what are you doing in this coming week? Get ready for the spring. It's coming, regardless of where you are. Get ready for the harvest. We're going to experience that experientially next week with Harvest Sunday. We encourage you to come, bring your friends, bring your food. Let's eat it up and enjoy fellowship. But practically, what do you do with that in this coming week? Who can you love sacrificially in this coming week who maybe even doesn't deserve it? Who can you love with hesed love, loyal love, mercy, grace, kindness? Who needs mercy from you today or this week? Even if they don't deserve it, do they need it? Don't look with the eyes of the flesh that says, ugh, Moabite. Look with the eyes of Christ that says, image bearer of the living God. Who needs mercy? Who can you bless this week, even if they don't deserve it? Why would you do these things? Why would you bless? Why would you love sacrificially? Why would you show mercy to someone who doesn't believe that they're worth your time? Why would you show mercy and grace and love to someone who is so unkind to you? They don't deserve your forgiveness, your love, your mercy, your grace. Why would you do that? Simply because Christ did it for you. Christ did it for me. Let us be merciful because Christ is merciful. Let us be gracious and loving because God is gracious and loving. Let us be those people so that through us they will see the light of Christ. So that through us they will see that there is a banner, a covering, wings that they can take refuge under to help them in their time of trouble. And God is gracious with these things. And now I have gone horribly over. Sometimes that happens when God throws a monkey wrench in your plans, as He often does. So we're going to stand, and as the worship team comes forward, this is your time to do serious heart work with the Lord. See where God has challenged you. Maybe God has laid someone or something on your mind and you need prayer. Maybe you need to turn your life over to Christ and you don't know what that means. You need to turn your life over to Christ and be immersed in Christian baptism. Let's talk about that. Let's move on from this place. Maybe you need prayer. Maybe you just need a helping hand. And this is a body of believers that offers helping hands. So this is your time to confront those issues. And if you need to, come forward or pray right where you are as we sing this song.